So update on the 12 years abandoned black pine. This is looking at the back of the tree right here. This is the front of the tree. I have it turned around. What I'm doing right now is I'm thinning out the needles. When I first got this about 1.5 years ago, I wanted to revitalize it, right? Get it back into a healthy state and allow it to grow and become strong again. And I took the pot off to get a good idea of what the roots were doing. I removed about a 1/2 inch all the way around of the old soil and roots and put just straight akadama down and allowing for a better drain and just a little bit of extra. There was a big root bound on the outside. It recovered very nicely from that. In a couple of months, I will actually redo half of the pot first, and then in a year or two later, I will redo this. I'll do the next half. But what I'm doing now is I'm thinning out the branches and seeing that each has a good bifurcation. So I'm working this branch. This is my last branch. This is the backside branch, and you can see if I bring you on the top, the branch network. I wish that I had the plateau here, but it grew long and it's 12 years. And so it's coming through and comes through and it bifurcates and then it bifurcates and then it's going to be bifurcating again. So if I come up here to the top where I've already done this, you can see this one has 3. I might leave it just for now to continue growing and figure out which one. Like I'll probably cut this one off because it's on the bottom. But this one is a good example. So it comes through, right? It bifurcates here, splits here, comes through. I wish I had another split here. I don't, but I have the split here. And then one of these, 2 of these, they will back bud next year. And I'll have these 2 will turn into 4, ideally. But I've reduced the amount of needles. I'll give you an example of what it looks like beforehand. It's this big mess, right? This probably has 3 or 4 shoots, tip shoots in it. And I did that on purpose last year so that the tree could regain its health as maximum as possible in the roots, because I'm going to work the roots later this year. So I'm coming through and I'm selecting which one of these tips I'm not going to keep and clipping them off, and then bringing the needle count down to 5 each, preferably in a star pattern like this one, but every now and then it'll be in an off-balanced pattern just like this, so that the bottom doesn't have needles shooting straight down. That way, if I can see from the back, that's a good example right here. That way I don't have needles coming down, I just have the pad, right? And then the needles are still really long, and I'll decide later if I'm gonna cut. At one point I did cut these needles down halfway, and I might again, and it just kind of creates that thing. But ideally I don't cut these needles down. They just shorten naturally, but that's gonna happen over time with multiple bifurcations as it goes through. This is the last branch that I'm working now. I don't know if I said that already. So all the rest of it is done. And what I'm gonna do, don't know if I can hold the camera at the same time. So I have this little tip. Let's see. The branch comes out. This is a really weird branch. It's really skinny. It's really long. I've been thinking about getting rid of it, but I don't want to commit to it because it is a lower primary branch. But this is such an awkward piece. I'll see later. So this one comes out, it splits off, and then each of these tips, I just did this one, and I didn't do this one just now, it doesn't matter. This one has 3 here, and I know why I left 3 on this one. I left 3 on this one because I want this branch to thicken up. I want this branch to thicken up as much as possible, so I want as much energy coming out here as much as possible. Generally, I'm going to leave it with 2, especially when it comes down to the ends out here, right? So when it comes out to the ends, I want to leave it with 2 pieces. So this is a nice thick branch, and it splits off here, and then it'll split off here. So each one of these ends will have only 2 tips on it, and then each one of those tips I'm going to bring it down to a 5 needle tip. And when I pluck them, I'm going to see that this, can I get it to focus here? There we go. Needles like this one down here on the bottom, I can very indiscriminately just pick off because these aren't needed. Like this downward needle isn't giving me any justice for the branch pad effect. I want to bring you in to this tip. Let's bring you out. So this is a fairly long and skinny branch, and when I go to the tip, I have two shoots left and right, and then from there I have a left and right and a center. And so I need to choose what I'm going to do with this tip, and I cannot leave 5 offshoots to this. So I need to think about, I want to keep these branches short, so any of the back budding, like these two, I want to keep, and I want to eliminate any of the very long growth. So if there's any one of these that's really long, let's get the focus, it's what I want to get rid of. So this one here is nice and long. It has a bifurcation here at the end again, so I might keep that. This one does the same. It splits into 2, and this bottom one is in a funny angle, so I'm gonna clip the bottom one just because it's bottom, and then we'll look at it from there. Okay, so I've taken the bottom one out, and you can see already how drastically different that branch is with just that bottom shoot off. It actually looks really good. And then coming back up, I now have 4 at this intersection. And what I'm gonna do is, I don't know if these 2 back buds will actually survive. So if I cut off here, so what I'm gonna do is just select one of these, and I will leave 3 onto this branch, and I'll leave 3 onto this branch just because it's so long. So what I wanna do is pick the most compact branch. This one sticks out the furthest, so I'm going to get rid of this one here and keep that one, keep this one and these 3. So this will be a 3-tipped branch for now, and then later on, probably next year, I will clip this out and it'll be 2 branches. So let's go ahead and get rid of that, and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, and there you go. Actually, isn't that beautiful? See how that happened? It's got kind of a funky angle, so I have to wire this out a little bit more, figure out the wiring on it. But I'm not wiring this tree right now. I'm just cutting it down, clipping it back, and getting it prepared. These tips, so this one here, get the camera to focus on it. It's got the 5 on it. This one needs to be brought down, and these 2 need to be brought down as well. So I still need to pull some needles off, but I've got the shape. I now have it thinned out, so you can see the branch structure. We have a trifurcation here, and then further down at this tip, another bifurcation. And this is a really pretty branch because these needles are already short. These 2 needles are still long, but these ideally is what I get across to the tree. And so we'll see if I can get that this year. If I zoom out, you can see that this half of the branch has now been thinned out. Well, this half of the branch is not, right? It's kind of like a dog without a haircut. See the difference? Step back, right? Actually, since I'm back here, you can see that the shape of the tree has now taken a better look. Let's not zoom in on my hand. But you can see that the edge is here, and then the edge, of course we're looking at it from the back, however I still want to keep that shape, is here. And then I've got this funky, doesn't really fit, so I might want to do something with this branch because this is a 2-part branch. And so this 2-part branch though is really funky because one part is just that little tiny end right there, and then all of this. However, when I do wire this up, I'm going to wire this more straight. I don't want to break it, but I want to wire this up more straight so that the needles are coming further out. So let's finish up this pad here. I'm going to finish over here still. Let's finish up this pad starting from here over, and we'll see what the finished product looks like. I want to bring you into this branch because it's got some interesting dynamics that I need to cut out. It's got the first bifurcation piece back here. This is something I want to keep as in an attempt to shorten the branch. It's got the second one a little bit, just barely further down the line on the opposite side, which is ideal. And then we've got the tip here and a secondary branch that's between these two. And so I'm going to remove this secondary branch right here, and I will leave these 3 parts. So I'll remove this one, and I'll keep this one, and the tip. That way the branch can continue to grow. And next year, I'll have this back branch here, and then I will be able to remove the tip. And then each one of these will have, ideally, a bifurcation 2-shoot on it. And there we have it. This is the final product. This is the branch, fully thinned out, ready for all of its winter back budding. Winter, where I live, turns out to be more of a springtime event. Looks like I still have a couple of places that I need to figure out, like this tip here. This is an easy one to figure out. So I have 3 tips. Oops, let's get that on camera. 3 tips, 1, 2, and 3. And this between one is really long, but this tip is nice and healthy. So I'm actually going to get rid of this between one and leave the furthest part back bud. See how that looks? Big difference. Much better. Okay. I did the same thing. Some of these were really bushy, and that's because inside there was like 5 or 6 tips altogether, and I very easily see this one still has 3, but 2 are straight up, 1 and 2. So I'm actually going to take this bottom one off, and that helps the upward movement of the branch. This one still has 3. See, I didn't do a perfect job. This one's a little bit more difficult. These 2 are on the bottom, but they're also projecting out to the side. So then I want to take the tip off. Not cut too far down. I don't want to sacrifice this branch. Oh, it might have been. No, that's okay. All right. And a wiring is in the near future. Now that all the branches are thinned out, this is a collection of needles that I've taken around. Let's go ahead and turn this around so that we can view it from the front. And we'll see how it looks. All right. Oh my goodness, what a difference. Okay, the first thing I notice is this angle right here is beautiful. I had a lot of concerns with this branch. It was big and it was too far out, and because it was too far out, I needed an effect of the heavy weight as if it were a large real branch on a tree, and the snowfall was going to make it compact, or not compact, but lower down. However, now that I have the needles thinned out, I can see that that line right there is good. Maybe this branch needs to come up a little bit so that I can have this, right? But as I come around, that's good. And then on this side, I have these coming down, and it actually fits in really well. This branch here is short. You can see it's short. I'll bring you in. I know that it's short. This was a hard recovery. It was longer at one point in time. However, that all died back, and I cut it back so that this can grow. So this has a lot of concentration in it. These needles I will keep long so that the sap flow is strong in this branch, and I will continue it to grow. Plus, I also need to thicken these parts up right here and right here so that it grows out. However, as it grows out, it will fill in that little gap right there. That's going to be, I don't know, 5 years or something. And then from the side, we have a good angle, and we can see where our angle is here. Just need that branch to grow out. This is great. I do still need to wire it, so I will take all of this into consideration again once we wire. And I think that I don't need to change the shape of this branch so much as I do just cut these long needles down. You can see that I have some branches here where the needles are like 3 centimeters, and then other branches where the needles are sitting at like 7 centimeters long. So I'll probably just cut these down, but you can see in them that the strength of the needle is already being sucked back into the tree for the winter time. And so all of that will go back into back budding. This is really good timing. I have a 3 prong here. And anyways, I want more of an apex. And I had to go through and figure out what the top was going to be, and I picked this branch here. So this will continue to be the top, and it'll be the next pad and the actual peak. However, that's not done. This looks really good. I am very, very happy. It's not shaggy. It looks finely, like it's well kept, and I can actually see the branches and the structure of the tree instead of just this big mess of needles. This is great. I like this.